how did you become a top producer in 7th level, selling to salespeople also?
I was number 23 out of 25. And so I was feeling demotivated. And then I was like, dude, I hate sucking. The business at the time, what was it doing, like 20 grand a month? And then you hopped in and that grew to like 100 grand a month.
Like, we should stay away from sales, really.
What are you doing? You're being an absolute pussy.
What does that even mean?
Welcome to another episode of the Dynasty Podcast. No Yingji, no guest today. But today we're going to talk about how to be the number one producer on your offer. How do you be the top dog? We're not going to talk about fluff. We're not talking about have a growth mindset, all of that. We're going to talk about the mentality, actual things we did to become top producers, tactics, brass tacks. We're going to get into that. What do you got to say?
Let's get into it right away.
Let's get into it. So make sure, smash that like button, subscribe, and let's get into it.
So you've been a top producer, actually. You've been number 2, and humbly number 2, by the way.
Tears coming down my eyes. Not good enough to be number 1.
I know. Well, there's a solid number 1 over there, I know, and then PQ. And
he's not human. He's an alien.
He's an alien.
Yeah. I was talking to another rep from that offer, and then he was saying like, yeah, he's not a human, so it doesn't count. But a lot of respect to.
But the work ethic, though, like you have a lot of work. I like the work ethic that you have is unimaginable. But that guy is when I heard stories about him, on another level. So
yeah.
Respect to him. Anyways, let's talk about you though, because you're here right now. So yeah, I mean.
I just did the Korean. People probably don't know what that is.
I'm about to ask you a question. I'm like so demotivated now. Anyways, how did you become a top producer in 7th level, selling to salespeople also?
Yeah. So basically, how I went about that is the first proper offer I was on was the BizOp offer that we were both on. I was number 23 out of 25 when I first got on, and it was a humbling experience because maybe some people can relate. I got on that offer. It's my first full-time sales offer. And then I was like, I can talk to people. I'll be fine. And then I'm getting hit with yeah, this sounds good. Let me think about it. They're asking me a ton of technical questions. I was like, man, all right. And so I was feeling demotivated. And then I was like, dude, I hate sucking. And so I hated
sucking?
Yeah, I hate sucking. Pause. Okay. But I hated sucking more than not making more money. I think that was the issue. And so because of that, I'm like, man, I got to do something about this. So one of the top reps on that offer at the time, and then I was talking to him, and I was like, yo, like, what did you do? And then I found out he went through this one program called Inner Circle. So I went through that program, and then after that, but here's the thing, because in that program, not everyone got, I guess, the results they wanted, quote unquote, or not as much,
yeah,
right?
And we will talk about that as we go,
right.
Because I know why, but I'll ask you that question also. If I stop you there for a second, though, how I remember it is you were doing a low ticket program of theirs, first of all, and then you went into Inner Circle. Can you talk more about that also?
It wasn't even theirs because the program was, I don't even know how they structured it back then, but the program was any PQ Inner Circle from 7th level. But the program I did before that, and I didn't even consider it a program because it was a low ticket thing, but it was called Closing Code.
It was solid.
From Sales Sniper. Dude, that was actually, it's interesting because, you know, Inner Circle was like 17 grand. And Closing Code was like 50 Aussie dollars per week, which comes out to like
$30 a week,
maybe 120 US dollars per month. But I considered that's probably the second best program I ever took. It was, and shout out to Matt for that. But it was such a good fucking program because the portal was pretty, like, it's not like super in depth, but okay, like you did this, these are the questions you ask. That was good. But more importantly, the things I learned from the coaches at the time, like Dan Van, shout out to Dan, and Jimmy Reese Hopkins, shout out to Jimmy, and also Matt did the calls like once a week or so. And then from that, I was like, oh shit, this is really fucking good, you know? So that program's really good. But going back to that, just like any program, some people get better results and some people don't. And that comes back to the mentality and the tactics and the different things you do as a quote unquote top dog on your offer. So what I did was when I bought that program, because a lot of people bought the program like they don't put in as much work. And the obvious thing is Hormozy said this, which kind of stuck out to me. It's not the program that works. As long as the program's not absolute shit, it's the person, it's you that make it work. And both of us really believe in that because we both take radical responsibility into it. And we're not, we're humans, so we fall into it. Sometimes we're like, oh man. But we come back to like, okay, so what do we got to do? Okay. So number one is radical responsibility, extreme responsibility. So from that, second thing is immersion. When I say immersion, so Tony Robbins talks about this. And for me personally, I have an obsessive extreme personality where when I do something, I just go balls deep into that. And the rest of my life kind of falls apart.
The only thing you're not obsessed with is getting in a relationship with a woman.
There we go.
Red flag, flag, ladies.
I'm a walking red flag. But one of the dating coaches that I actually worked with, one of my dating mentors, he said the only thing I do in moderation is in fact moderation. I was like, that makes sense. So,
wow.
So when I was going through that program, I wasn't just like going to like the coaching call, that was that. But what I was doing was like I went to the coaching call and I implemented on the coaching call. I wasn't just asking about like random questions like, hey, I got this one time, what should I do? But I was like, okay, what's the thing that I'm losing the most sales to, losing the most commissions to? I identified that and I realized, I'm not in an urgency. So hey, I think I need to do this. What's your thoughts on it? Or can I role play that? I take that feedback and for my calls for the rest of the day or the next day, I only work on that. After that, I debrief. And I'm debriefing because I learned this from the dating community where after you go out, you talk to strangers, you talk to women and things like that. After that, you write down 2 things you did well, 2 things you need to improve on, and 1 thing you'll implement tomorrow.
Like a field report.
Exactly. So they call it the field report in the dating community. So I have a Google Doc template, right? And so, by the way, if you want that, comment below template. No, I'll just like link it down below.
No, just have them slide into your DMs.
Hey, there we go. Slide into my DMs for that.
Brian Choi Biz.
Yeah. But I did that and I broke it down. Okay, so what do I gotta say? I took the same thing in the sales context, which I didn't see a lot of people doing sales. But as I was breaking down the sales, I was like debriefing. Oh, okay. And then that's what I was doing.
That's good. That's good. It all comes down to tracking, first of all, knowing what you need to improve on, first of all, and just really hammering that down. Because, for example, you and I, we track objections. That should be the default, but a lot of people don't even do that.
Yep.
So you need to, first of all, do that first. And second of all, if there's certain objections that you're getting, then you just need to dial that down first. If you're not getting partner objections, just don't do it. But a lot of people, they hear these, fancy lines, wow, that was cool. So they start practicing objections that they don't even get in the first place. Or it's just totally irrelevant. Like, why would you spend time on that if you're getting all think about it all the time, You can work on that the whole entire time and just increase your closing ratio from 20% to 30%, or understand how to pre-handle that also.
Yeah, 100%. But that's a little bit. But I want to hear from you because you've been on different offers, and that one offer, you're the only person there. However, the business at the time, was it doing like 20 grand a month? And then you hopped in and that grew to like 100 grand a month. And that was a sales funnel that wasn't even fully optimized. It was just like a DM and like nothing else there.
Yeah. So it was my most recent offer, by the way. So it was a startup offer. I got into that offer. I knew it was going to be a difficult offer, by the way, because it's a startup. I was like telling myself, I'm never going to do startups. But the guy was like, well, let's do business together later down the road. And we had specific plans. Anyways, so that's why I got into the offer. I knew I was going to close way more than 20K a month. I knew. But I didn't know what was possible out there. First of all, the show-up rate was 22%.
When you first got in?
When I first got in. 22% of people that show up, they're like, what is this all about? They're getting in the car. They're like, at their lunch break, eating something. And I'm like, oh. So I was like, okay, we need to fix this, first of all. So there's a messaging sequence that I used, tested out also. And it got me from 22% to a humble 58%. But everyone show up committed, though. At least understood what we do here.
That's tripling.
At least tripling,
Yeah.
I mean, it's the start of offer, so it's small hinges open big doors, So anyways, I got to 58% up, and so it started with 20K cash collected. And then I was like, I'll start off first risky, and after 69th day, I think. And shout out to Brahim and Ahmed, those are the guys that set my calls. I literally told them not to disqualify anyone, just bring anyone in. I didn't care if they watched the video or not. I really didn't care. I was like, same thing. It's not about the business model that makes someone successful. It's what you do with the business model that makes someone successful.
Yep.
So I didn't care whether they wanted to do e-com or Amazon. I didn't care. We don't do Amazon or e-com in my offer. I just decided, okay, If you want to make more money, this is it. You're getting mentored by an 8-figure entrepreneur one-on-one. So you need my help. So, for example, the month of May, I had 33 show-ups. I closed 14.
Savage.
Only 2 were laydowns. The other 12, I had to hardcore objection handling for most.
And I know this because I heard him objection handling in the same room.
Yeah, it was pretty tough, but I enjoy it though. I enjoy it. It's like a chess. It's like a puzzle piece that you're matching together with the prospect. You know, like pre-handling, objection handling. You're like, Marco taught me that it's like chess. And I want to talk about how like sales is so related to chess because the more moves you waste in your calls, for example, the more questions you waste in your calls, the more you're less likely to win also. We can talk about that as we go. But anyways, it's like chess to me. I've always liked to discuss about hard topics, I guess after I got into sales. And I've always loved the idea of persuasion anyways. So I was having fun with it. Grew from 22K to 95K cash collected, 150K revenue. And then we had a little bit of, I guess, a little slight disagreement. And then I decided to do my own thing because I'm a little more, I guess, ambitious and egotistical. So
yeah,
it is what
but it's interesting because after you left that offer, another sales rep got onboarded there, and then that person hopped on. It's like, oh, like June closed 14 out of 30. Like it's gonna be pretty easy. And then they hopped on, and what happened there?
I actually told her that's not going to be an easy offer, that I literally had to objection handle every single one of them. Yep. I couldn't close even every single one of them, you know. Closed only 14 out of 33, you know. So there's not going to be any disqualification. There's not going to be enough nurturing because it's a startup also. There's no funnels. There's no website, nothing. Like it's just sheer will that you just get this person from A to Z. And I was a little surprised that the business owner actually hired her because I've listened to her call. Her style is not really just objection handling. She's like, okay, well, try to understand and try to see what fits for her, fits for them. It's the program's not for them. Disqualification type of method. So I was like, why wouldn't you hire someone like me? You know, I can train them up if I need to. They decided to do it that way, and then now they. So I had one call closed, pretty much everyone, except for a few people, which was like a 15K or 30K or upper hand deal, really. But
nice.
The rest, I just really one call close, and they're now putting a 2-call close process. I'm like,
yeah,
you know, I guess you really do need a 2-call close process because when you're doing a business, you want your process to be stronger than your closure. Actually,
so what you did is actually Matt said this. It's actually funny. Matt during like an inner circle call, Matt Ryder. And someone is asking me, hey, so we're doing the, one call close. And then Matt was asking, so like, what kind of offer is it? They're like, biz up. Okay. What's the price point? They're like 10K. Why the fuck are you doing a 1-call close? Like, why would someone buy 10K? But you were doing that just naively. He's like, oh, well, let me just 1-call close these people. And you did.
Yeah. I mean, it was an offer of 5K to 30K. I usually sold people on 5K or 10K really on that offer. And I mean, I'm proud of it, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like 95K is not a huge number, but
you work for it, dude.
I would challenge any sales guru to do that. I'll get you on the offer, by the way.
Yep, 100%. Yep. Because, dude, everyone can talk about close rate, but they don't understand. It doesn't tell the full story. Because, yeah, you can close like 50, 70% on a hot crypto offer when crypto's hot, or the funnel's like heavy disqualification, crazy guarantees. But, okay, that's not that impressive. Like, anyone can fucking do that.
Yeah.
But like a crazy like done-free Amazon like automation offer, but these types like you had like zero like sales. It's just like DMs, Instagram, right? And the thing with Instagram is people don't understand this. Yes, it has high volume. You get more lead flow through Instagram short form, but the thing is, it's lower intent and lower show up rate, lower close rate. Because if people watch like a fucking 10-second reel, like a biz op, it's like, oh, let me get a Lamborghini. They book a call. But it's totally different to someone watching like a 1-hour podcast or YouTube video. They've been binging that. It's just totally different type of indoctrination level.
Yeah. And I think I did the same thing as you, and I want you to talk more about it as well. Is I've done group coaching like programs also, like the big names, right? Like NEPQ also, or Bill Walsh's program. But To be fair, those weren't enough though. What really got me refined was the one-on-ones that I've done with Marco. There's a guy named Caleb also, Caleb Mikolov.
McAuliffe.
Anyways, shout out to him. Those are the guys that really refined everything that I learned from these group coaching calls. So, and I might be biased because I'm doing one-on-ones right now also. But what I see with my students also is that they have a sort of like a framework, but no one pointed them out on what they actually need to do. They're still lost. They're still confused. They're still looking like they're unnatural in the call. So what got me refined was the one-on-ones that someone pointed out, exactly like you. Like Marco taught me, June, focus on this one thing for the rest of the week. Don't even think about the other stuffs. And that gave me so much clarity the whole entire week. Because he was like, hey, June, be more human. Work on your tonality this week. That's the whole thing I worked.
Yep. Instead of like focusing on like 10 different things, because imagine, right? Like there's finite amount of focus and energy and efforts.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to focus on 10 things, try to dig in 10 wells at the same time is only going to go like this much. But if you go balls deep into one well, you're going to go boom.
Yeah. I think what sales trainers get it wrong and coach people wrong is they look at the whole entire call. And the salesperson brings a call for a call review and they say, I got this objection. Okay, let's look at the objection. Rarely, it's not the problem with objections when the objection happened. It's usually the first 5 minutes.
Yep.
Usually the first 5 minutes, and it's just leaking the whole entire time. So again, group coaching, one-on-one, and understanding what I'm missing out throughout the whole entire week, and just improving that also. And last time we talked about it, finding a coach that resonates with you and going all in with that. For me, I listened to so many Nick Schroeder's call again from Bill Walsh's program, and I went all in with it, you know. So that's really what worked for me. But what about you? Because I know I've heard some stories about Inner Circle where people that actually got confused and their actual closing ratio got dropped because there was just so much noise within the program, but you still made the results happen.
Yeah.
So how did you do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a phenomenal program, but I think it's because, again, like it's like the person that makes it work. But I had that too because when you have different perspective, and now I think they're more standardizing more, which is they're doing a phenomenal job at it. But so, you know, Marco does it kind of this way. Jeremy kind of does it this way. Matt kind of does it this way. So I'll take what Marco taught me, and then I'll go to the role play with Jeremy. Jeremy's like, why are you doing it that way? Well, because Marco said, well, I'll do it this way. I was like, okay. I go to Marco's session. Why are you doing it that way? Well, because Jeremy said, and I was getting confused. I was like, okay, stop. Who's one person I want to model after? Who do I resonate with the best, and whose results do I want to model after? And I was like, Matt. I want to sell just like Matt. So what I started doing was I just went to Matt's session. Sometimes if I want to get different perspective on some people who do like best at some things, like Marco does really good job at leadership frames, things like that. I was like, okay, let me go to Marco. But most of the times, like the way I sell and the way I approach the game is like majority of it I just model after how Matt does and how he goes after it, which is also another thing because the way you approach and mentality is a big factor. Neither of us are huge mindset guys, like woo-woo, like growth mindset, all that kind of shit.
Yeah, we're more like half a brain and a work ethic will get you somewhere.
Yeah, and that's important because when it comes to mentality, there are people that just be like, go into the program or like they go into an offer, they'll be like, the leads are shit. They're problem oriented, meaning that, the program's not gonna work. The leads are not good. But what you did, and I agree the same way, is you're solution oriented. Meaning that, okay, so when you went in, okay, so this is what I'm working with. So how can I figure out a solution from these are the chess pieces I'm dealing with? How can I make the moves to get to where I want to go? Because when you got in, you're like, most closers, princess closers, as we like to call it in the industry, like, 22% show rate, the offer shit, right? But you went on there's like, okay, how can we optimize it? I think if we did this, I think this will do it. And you did that. And then you set a hypothesis, you tested it, and then you keep iterating it. And that's what people got to do. And that's what successful people, not just in sales, but in anything, solution-oriented. They're like, what do I need to, instead of like, this sucks. Okay, this is the problem. Identified, yes. What are the possible solutions? Let me test it.
I think that's why you're a top performer also, not because you act that way, but it's congruent also because now you train people in your call also, the prospects in the call, to think that way as well, to be solution oriented. But if you're not solution oriented, then how are you going to command someone to be solution oriented? Because one of the things that Marco taught me one-on-one was, it was like, it's like so crazy, so advanced, like so advanced stuff. So he was like, June, you gotta train your prospects on language patterns.
100%.
I was like, what the fuck does that even mean? But that sounds so cool. It was like, if someone says but, you gotta stop them. If they say it so many times, you gotta stop. Well, you can always say X, Y, Z, but I have to pay my mortgages. I'm too busy. You have to stop them and train them on how to speak actually. Or if someone says because of X, Y, Z, I'm not able to do X, Y, Z, train them on saying, can I share a perspective with you? Instead of saying because of, and have you ever considered that way of thinking has only prevented you from getting the results that you want? You saying it that way. Why not just say despite of X, Y, Z, I am still gonna make it work. Like he was like teaching me some advanced technology, like not technology, advanced like, it felt like technology.
It is technology.
It felt like technology. It was like, wow, new stuff. Like I could actually train them on language patterns, you know? Because everyone comes and calls and goes, oh, because of X, Y, Z, I wasn't able to make it. Well, are you open to a different perspective? How much longer do you want to tell yourself because of X, Y, Z that you haven't gotten results? Have you ever considered that way of thinking has only gotten you, has prevented you from getting the results that you want? Is that thought process worth you taking then? How about you say, despite of X, Y, Z, so because of that, I was able to make it. I was like, wow. But that's the mentality that Marco has also. That guy's a working machine.
100%, bro. It's unreasonable, and we'll get into like the nitty gritty. You gotta definitely coach them on how the prospects talk, because when you coach them on how to talk, when you fix their language, you fix their belief patterns, and you fix their actions, which ultimately serves them and also serves the sale.
I think that's what you're really good at also, and I think I pride myself on being really good at is sniffing language patterns that doesn't benefit them also.
Yep.
I want you to talk about that as well, so because you've been trained by not only Marco but Matt, and I think Matt is one of the goats when it comes to sniffing something, and you're like, what do you mean? So I think you can talk more about that as well.
Also. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like we'll give a sneak preview, right? We'll talk about the other podcasts on like how to prevent think about objection using this and things like that. But a little bit of appetizers. So something Yash does really well too. Whenever you sniff it, you gotta fix how they talk. For example, when you ask them, "Hey, do you know what you're looking for?" and they say like, "Well, everyone wants to make more money." That's not the question I asked you. I said, "Do you know what you are looking for?" And he's using a third person pronoun. Everybody. Right? At that point, it's like, oh, yeah, bro, that's everybody, but what are you looking for? You fix that immediately, because what's going to happen is this. They're going to keep doing this, and a lot of closers don't even realize this because they're only thinking, what am I going to ask the next question in the script, or they're not paying attention. But you start to see it as you pay more attention, as you're more present in the conversation. It's like everyone wants to make more money, and then when you ask them, okay, so why don't you like your job? Let's say it's a biz op offer. They'll say like, oh, you know, because you're going to work 16 hours a day and you become really tired. I asked me? I'm not working 16 hours a day at a restaurant, right? So that's the thing going on in your head. So like, oh, brother, like, I'm not working at a restaurant, but like, what don't you like about your job? So you accentuate it. So what's this going to do is this. Because if you don't do this, towards the end, the more you're letting them get away with that behavior, you're training them on the negative. You're training them on to keep externalizing responsibility. It seems very subtle. It's like, why is that a big deal? No, because the way they talk is coming from their brain. So that's how they believe. So that's what they're talking. That's how they act, which is why they haven't been taking responsibility to leave their job and look for solutions and actually take action on it. So at the end, what do you get? Yeah, man, this sounds really good, but I'll think about it, get back to you. Yeah, it sounds really good, but I need to talk to my partner and I'll get back to you. Because a lot of that is externalizing responsibility.
Yeah. External conversation leads to external objections.
Yep.
Like if your conversation is like not only just surface level, but it's just external, everyone else, or blaming on something else rather than taking extreme ownership and not training them on taking extreme ownership for their own results. I mean, it's just natural. Like the language patterns that they adopt is just their thought process, their belief system. So that belief system will leak at the end of the call after their price drop, which is like, yeah, I just need to see more materials. I haven't seen enough testimony. Because now they're externalizing everything to make a decision now. They need to see other things to make decisions because that's their language pattern. They have been externalizing everything. This is what I see from other people. This is you. This is not me, though. It's just other people's fault, It's not my problem. It's not my responsibility.
Yeah.
So, of course, they're not going to take responsibility of their own decision and be like, I just need to see more materials. I just need to see more testimonials.
Everything except for themselves.
Everything
And
except for
this can
themselves.
happen at the end of the objection, at the end of the call, as an objection, or it could happen throughout the call, even before the pitch and the price drop.
Yeah.
So I was coaching a guy, and he's doing like really well. He's already like 4xing in sales already. And he was kind of struggling with like this one part, which is, hey, so like, what do I say to like reframe or help them take responsibility? And so that comes from number one, you gotta understand what you're trying to do, and you gotta believe the things you're saying yourself.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
sometimes maybe people listening to this will relate, is they'll say a line on a script or they'll say like a reframe or analogy, but it doesn't land well with the prospect. That's usually because of different reasons, but a big part of that is because you don't really have conviction behind the things you're saying because you don't quite understand it or you don't believe in it.
Yeah.
As an example. So if you strongly believe that you should take extreme responsibility for everything that's going on, and if you strongly believe, it goes back to congruency. I know that word's like overplayed in the industry these days, but it's true.
In the wrong way, though. In the most inefficient way.
Yeah. But in
we'll
a
go
sense of this, it's like if you believe that, like everything's my fault, like I can fix this, then the language the prospect will say, like, you know what? Like I didn't put in the time, that's my fault. And this time I'm gonna do something different, right? But most of the times they don't, which is why they're in the sales call. And so if you as the sales professional believe that, everything's my fault, this person is not being helped because they're not taking responsibility, then you'll be like, hey brother, like, can I point something out? They'll be like, yeah. And you can just have a real conversation with them. Hey, like, I'm realizing a lot of, you're kind of externalizing responsibilities. Like, hey, it was the government's fault. It was the economy. It was like this, and it was my wife. But have you ever considered that everything's on you? Because, dude, like, what's the alternative? If you're externalizing responsibility, you're giving your power away to do something about your life to your wife, to the government, to your boss. And so is that what you want? No? Why not? So before we're going further, man, how do you feel like needs to change within yourself so that you don't have to keep being paycheck to paycheck feeling miserable?
Yeah.
But that comes from first understanding you deep down firmly stand with your feet in the ground. This person, it doesn't make any sense. We should all take responsibility. And so that's another top trait of a top salesperson is that you have absolute certainty because you are that guy living the thing, saying the things you say.
Yeah. I mean, like, for example, like podcast guests like Anthony, Matt, look at their belief system. Look at how they talk. Look at what they actually believe in. Like, for example, Anthony believes that everyone that booked a call, maybe it's realistically not true, and it's probably not also. Everyone that booked a call wants to buy. That's his belief system, You act accordingly, like, with your belief system because, again, like, coming back to what Yash is doing also was, like, everyone wants to externalize their responsibility. He brings them back. I'm not talking about everyone. I'm talking with you, brother,
Yep.
by the way. That's what Marco does really well. But I love Marco because he doesn't look caring, but he's actually a very caring personality.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he says this a lot, and you can feel it. Hey, brother, I care about you. But I care about you, not everyone else. And I was like, fuck,
Yeah.
that's so mind-blowing. Because you can actually feel him carrying it, but the words that he actually say from that care, like, you can feel it. And people, like, for example, like, I see this all the time, and my students call, like, if someone is opening up their hard struggles, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I understand, it must be so tough. But Marco doesn't do that. Marco's like, wow, that's rough. Moves on to the next question. But that 2 words, that's rough, is the most powerful words I've ever heard. I'm like, wow, this guy really feels me though. It's like he's not adding fluff. And then we'll get into this also with script versus no script as well, because I don't know why that's even a debate, honestly. But yeah, like, Marco's belief system is that I care about the other person. And his second belief system, I think, is it shouldn't be a battle, but it is a battle in terms of whose conviction is stronger.
Yep.
My conviction, my belief system, in terms of how someone should live life, if you're on a call with me, is solid. You're in a call with me to change your life. Let me help you out with that. Allow me to help you out with that also. That is my belief system. It's not gonna It's gonna be unwavering. Like I don't care what the prospect says, it is your responsibility. And one of the things that I say, and it's our favorite line, and that is how we live our lives, by the way, is so if someone says, hey, so I guess like if you wanted something for XYZ years, for 2 years, I guess what have you tried so far? And they say, oh, I've been just busy, with work, you know how it goes, just putting food on the table. I'm like, I like to empathize. Okay, cool. Like, I mean, but also at the same time, I'm saying, too busy to make more money, right? That's how you think.
Yep.
So you point it out, but how I do it is, okay, and you being busy with your job, it's not 100% our fault, and it's not 100% your fault. But whose responsibility is it to fix it, though? And the moment that they say it's mine, it's done. It's game over. Because, okay, well, if you know that it's your responsibility, coming from extreme ownership perspective, a man of your caliber taking care of 2 kids and a man of your caliber that is that responsible in your own life, well, let's really slow you down within you, though. And I do this body language, by the way. I learned this from Marco again. Let's really slow you down within you. And usually at that point, 80%, 90% of the time, they say, oh, it's just my fear, my comfort zone. Now, that's the real answer. And you have to train them on that. You have to have them come up with their own conclusion. Of course, there are times where they just don't give you the answer. Then people are looking for, like it said, people are looking for the next new reframe or this sexy analogy, like whatever, island analogy, whatever bullshit it is from other sales gurus that work for them but not work for you. Just be direct with them. Like how you live your life should just naturally flow in your conversation, in your language pattern as well. So like how you said it, right? Hey, can I be direct with you? Can I make a suggestion? Can I share a different perspective? If it's everyone's fault, then how will you ever fix it? Have you ever considered that way of thinking has only prevented you from getting the results that you want? I say this because I care. Care not only about you, but your results that you want, right? I think that's super powerful because, again, like how you said, it's not the analogies, it's just how you live your life. And you can be super direct and not come off as a dick. Because how many times have you been direct with a prospect and they got turned off by you? I'm pretty sure.
I mean, like, it does happen because especially when I was on 7th, when I was salespeople, I was slapping them down around. I was so fucking direct. It did happen. I'll say that. But most of the times, no, they buy into it because what happens is this. Eli Well said this too. If you're going to be... The reason why a lot of objection handling you try to do it doesn't work is because for the 30 minutes of the call, you're being an absolute pussy. And for the next 30 minutes, you're trying to objection handle, like trying to be direct with that. It's just not going to work. They'll be like, I'm talking to 2 different people. What's going on? So what you do is you challenge them in your conviction, in your certainty, tonality, and the questions you're asking. So whenever, and the rep I was coaching yesterday, whenever something doesn't make sense in your heads, whatever they're saying, just challenge them on it. And so basically, if they're saying like, so what have you been doing about this so you don't have to keep paying paycheck to paycheck? And they're like, like nothing, just looking around the internet. Okay, how long have you been looking around for? Like 6 months? Oh, how come you didn't go with anyone? Just found anyone legit. Oh, brother, sounds like you weren't looking hard enough. Sounds like you weren't trying hard enough. Right? Yeah. So in your mind, because I'm thinking like, before I used to buy into that, but then as I like have different life experience, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Or whenever someone doesn't make any sense, like, hey, bro, like, can I point something out? Because I don't think that's helping you. So it's going thing what Marco did there, and then everyone, I don't care about everyone, I care about you. So let's talk about you. That's such a powerful frame because you're showing that you care, but also challenging at the same time, which makes them not want to push back, but actually buying, oh, this person care, but also let me kind of rethink about my perspective and my decisions, right? So it's like, hey, man, like, can I point this out? Because I don't think that's really helping you. So if you say from that frame, they buy into you more. And the thing is, whenever we see the most successful salespeople that we know in the industry, Matt, Marco, Anthony, Yash, those guys, those are really like some of the best salespeople that we know, is that in their life, they're just fucking getting after it. And so for Marco, for example, and he's talked about this too, he came from Italy to Australia. When he first got in, he was washing dishes. You know?
That big guy washing dishes, like, I can't.
Yeah, that Italian sexy mafia dude washing dishes, right? Getting paid minimum wage, right? And so he was doing that, but, because he kind of had to because of his visa situation. Yeah. And then he wasn't making much money, but he was so hungry because of his, family background. And he was getting after it. Same thing with Matt. He's like, dude, I fucking hate being poor and broke. I'm going to get after it. Jeremy, for example, too. in his childhood, he got picked on because he had the generic Walmart shoes because his family didn't come from wealth. And so because of that, he got after it. Same thing with me too, is I think it's a lot of his childhood shit, and because when I was growing up in America, for example, when I played sports, I wasn't good at it. And so I was basically sitting the bench. And so I got made fun of for that. And all my friends, they were like fucking 6'4", 6'4", like high schoolers, like white dudes. And I'm like just like 5'6", like midget Asian dude, right? And then I was very timid and I was very shy. So whenever we go out and we run into girls, let's say there's 4 of us and there's 4 girls, I was always the chopped liver that never got attention. So the 4 girls will go to these 3 guys, my friends. And so I always felt like, and looking back too, that kind of pent it up inside of me. It's like, man, I was never good at something. That when I got into sales, for example, man, I really want to fucking get good at this. And I didn't know it was that at the time, and I don't know for sure if it is, but maybe it is. Maybe that's my conclusion, is that, man, I was sucking at these things growing up. I really want to be fucking good at this. I think I can be good at this. So let me just put all my energy and focus. So you remember that time when I first got into sales, I was not seeing like my best friends, like you and our friend Min, even though we lived like 15 minutes away from each other. I was just like sales calls, sales training, debrief, gym. When I was at the gym, I was listening to sales training, my own calls, or coaching recordings from what I got from my coaches. I was going through that,
Actually, what was crazy is that we went to Boracay, so the island, Philippines island, I think January.
Yeah.
And I was like, we were just having a good time, and you're like, we were going to the gym every single day, and you're still listening to Jerry Meyer. I was like, please shut the fuck up.
I was listening to Matt's training.
Take that bullshit away, please. Yeah. No, but you're listening to Matt?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I forgive you. If it's Matt, I'll forgive you.
There we go.
Okay. But yeah, like, I mean, that level of obsession, though, I was like, wow. I mean, this guy's so boring.
I know.
This guy's the boring guy.
It was during vacation. I think I still made like 3 or 4 grand in comms that week. And I had no book calls.
And you actually saw me objection handling next to you in the island also. I was objection handling a guy for 1 hour,
Oh, yeah. You're in the room and I was in the balcony. I was like, we're like just one window apart. I remember that.
You're like, do you outbound dials? I'm like, I have a book call. I have a follow-up call. And then I was like doing that. We're just crazy dudes. Yeah. Like we should stay away from sales, really.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's very toxic. We have a very toxic relationship with sales.
We're toxic for each other.
But one thing, as you're talking about those instances, those stories about Marco, Matt, and you also, is that if someone tells me, so how long have you been wanting to get to XYZ, to actually retire parents, for example? Oh, it's been like 5 years. When you hear that, it just doesn't make sense. Like, why does it need to take 5 years to start something or even get the results that you want by now? For us, we dreamt about it. Like, we got to a certain extent to where we want to be. Like, are we 100% perfect with the results that we've gotten so far? No, like but we at least started, or we're making different moves also. So in my mind, it's like, why does it take 5 years, right? It's like, if Marco, for example, do you think someone like Marco would take 5 years to start something? Or,
the people who figure it out.
So if someone says, oh, I haven't found the right program yet for 5 years, I'm like, or I haven't really, I've just tried. Or I haven't really looked into much. You wanted this for 5 years and you haven't looked into it this much, and it's been 5 years. Like, then I would ask the question, like, okay, why haven't you looked into something like even 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago then? No, it's a serious question though. Oh, you're right. No, it's a serious question though. Like, why not? Like, why not? Why not? But why not though? For real. Because it doesn't just freaking make sense. If you want something, you go do something about it. You start watching some YouTube, you do your own research, and we just get into it,
Yeah.
That's how this podcast started also, actually.
I mean, pretty much, because, I mean, for us too, because we live it, right? We're the fucking easiest laydowns that salespeople will ever fucking meet.
Congruency.
Yeah, I mean,
congruency fucked us up.
I know, and but because like every sales call, I remember when I bought Inner Circle, I bought after 15 minutes, no objections. I mean, I gave him a little bit of a thing to see what he would do on purpose. But like after 15 minutes, like I knew I was gonna buy. Like my card was already on the table, right? Every sales call I get on, most of the times my card's already on the table, and then I get on because I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, dude, I don't have time. I don't have time to fuck around. Like, because, you know, when I was 21, my childhood best friend, I saw him pass at 20.
Yeah.
Like, I lost him at 20. So I'm like, everyone says that, hey, tomorrow's not guaranteed. But no, I saw with my own fucking eyes his ashes in a glass jar. I can't talk to him anymore. He's fucking 20 years old. So when I saw that, it's been like 7 years, 6-7 years now. That mental image is almost there every day still. And so I'm like, dude, I don't have time. So that's why, like, you know, whenever, like, you know, whether it be like our content people, whether it be like different programs, the sales calls I get on, all right, yep, okay, makes sense. I may have some questions, but it's like, okay, makes sense. All right, send invoice, done. All right, let's get after it. And because what that does is, like, now it gives you quicker feedback. Either it works right away or it doesn't work. So we either iterate it or we move to the next thing after giving a considerable amount of time. Yeah. But because that's how we go about life, when we hop on and someone, they know they need to do it, but they need to go not make the decision for whatever reason, and if it's based on fear, it's not making sense, then to us, we don't buy into that because we don't buy into ourselves.
And seeing you as a friend right next to me also in Korea, from Korea to where we're at right now also, like just living with you, just hanging out with you also, seeing that progression, right? Seeing that obsession, it just gets me thinking, like, again, coming back to like the tactic sides again, is like I asked someone, hey, how long have you been wanting it? 5 years. Okay, why haven't you done anything about it? Well, I was just XYZ. I haven't found the right mentor yet. Well, it took you 5, like, but why haven't you tried to find the right mentor 4 years, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago even? They're like, oh, well, I was just too busy. Well, and it's just, again, like, there's a perfect example. Like, you came from nothing to where you're at right now.
I had something. I mean, there's worse positions to be in.
But yeah. I mean, I guess so. But it's like, I'm like, you're telling. So I literally tell people in the call, you're telling me to believe, brother. You're telling me to believe that a man of your caliber, a man of your responsibility with 2 kids, looking to retire them with that noble goal, you're telling me to believe that you haven't really searched for a mentor 5 years,
not
4 years,
matching
3
up.
years, 2 years. Like, it's taking you 5 years. What's really slowing you down within you, coming from extreme ownership perspective? Because if it's always someone else's fault, how will you ever take control of the situation? If it's
100%.
always someone else's fault. If it's always someone affecting you, really.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's crazy because how many times people make decisions in 15 minutes and pay $18K, and with salespeople especially, because you remember I was getting on a call in Dubai, and my that's what fucked up my car situation actually, because I'm now using your car.
Oh yeah.
But I was
I'm
like,
not June's sugar daddy.
I was like 15 minutes in the call, and I was like, I gave him one objection. I was like, oh, why is it so expensive? Like, why is it 3 times more expensive than the other guy? It's just made an explanation. I didn't even listen to it. I just wanted to check him out, just give him a gut check. And I was like, okay. And I was like, reading my car details out.
I was there.
Yep, you were there, you know. And I was like, my payment was getting declined because I've spent so much money on the Dubai plane ticket. I'm like,
handshaking.
We're so bad at money management, I guess. But.
yeah. But okay, so let's kind of also go into tactics as well, right? Because mentality is important. But so I became like 23. I became number 3 within like 4 weeks. And then after that, I was just so... In the beginning, we had no ego. I think it's interesting. It's one dude messaged me on Facebook. It's like, dude, the closers on our team, man, they're closing like 4 out of 80. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I'm like, okay. I mean, like, sounds like they need some help. And he's like, no, you don't understand. Like, they don't want to do anything different. Wow. Can you imagine a closer closing 4 out of 80, but they're not willing to make changes or get better? And so that undeserved sense of inflated ego is what fucking kills people.
And then when you actually got on the Zoom meeting with all those closers, what were they doing? They were just like, oh, well, like they were just joking around, having fun. Like they were just
yeah. That's another incident, but that happened too. They're just like, it's like the Kobe Bryant situation. I showed you that video. When he went on Jimmy Kimmel, I believe, on a talk show, and Jimmy Kimmel was like, hey, you know, the Lakers, the team, you know, they had like a 12-game lose streak, but they won 1 game, and they turn on the post-game interview, and then there's like Jeremy Lin and like Jared, whatever their name was, and then they're like, oh, you know, my Jalen doing his thing, you know, crossing us up. They're like all having fun, and then the interviewer asked Kobe, could that have happened if if you were still on the team, and Kobe just looks at the camera like,
Kobe had a KBF. Kobe face.
he was like this. You know, so it's like, why are we celebrating? You know what I mean? So that's one thing. Undeserved sense of ego, things like that. But after that, it's having an unreasonable sense of just drive to like knowing that what you'll do whatever to make it work. So step number one is like the drive. I don't know if that can be teachable or not, because some people, you can't really force someone to have it, right? But I think you don't have to be dead broke and you don't have to be homeless. That's not the thing, because like someone like Matt or Jeremy, for example, or Marco, they're not homeless or anything like that. They're not broke anymore, but they just fucking get after it because they have an unreal sense of drive and whatever that thing is that drives you. And so I had that. And so from that, I got into Sales Sniper. And one of the accounts, it was a biz op, and then I went to number one. There were other 3 reps. One was full time, the other one was part time, the other 2 was part time. But first month, I outsold the other 3 reps combined by myself. And
Jeez.
the nitty gritty tactics, yes, there's nitty gritty tactics going to that. But like I'm like, you know what? And it's not like I was like, you know what, I'm gonna beat all these guys. It wasn't that, but I was like, dude, I'm just gonna fucking work on this thing. And so what I did was, okay, there's like nitty gritty tactic, which is like, okay, go through like the marketing funnel. What problem am I solving? What outcome do these people want? And you go after it. And then you speak with, you're just going to fucking get after it.
And when you say train, how many times have you read out loud your script, and how many times have you memorized it or obsessed over like different sequences in the shower or while you're walking? How many times have you done
Dude, I can't count. And then both of us do that, right? So whenever we get a script, this something that blows my fucking mind is a salesperson will bid an offer, they have a new script, and it's been 3 months, they haven't memorized their fucking script. I'm like, what are you fucking doing? Because when I got my first offer that we were on, it took me 3 hours to memorize like a 36-page script. It took me like 3, and the thing is, it could have probably taken me shorter, but I'm not particularly like a smart dude with a high IQ. You know, I dropped out of college after like 3 semesters. And so I'm not that smart. In high school, I didn't do that well in academic standpoint. But it's just put your phone in the other room and just fucking focus and just read that thing out loud back to back to back. You know, Eli Wild gave this example when I was DM sitting for one guy and there was a training. That was the first time I came across Eli Wild. And then he was saying when actors first get a script in Hollywood, someone like Anthony Hopkins, he's one of the greatest of all time actors. And he also played Odin in the Thor movie, for people to understand. And when he first gets a script, guess how many times he reads that script back to back?
How many times?
And people are like, I don't know, maybe 20 times. And Eli said, I'm butchering the number here, but he said something like 200 or 500 times. And it's the page like this, stacked this much, back to back to back to back. First, he's memorized the script, says a thing. And then what he does is like, what if I say it this way? Let me just kind of sew it down right here. Let me just kind of say that he does that. And isn't it crazy is that we're called sales professionals. But the problem is that people have been fed a fucking lie when they first got into the industry. Oh, you know, just be in your pajamas on the beach, take 5 calls a day. They show up, warm release, ready to buy, and you'll make 10 grand a month.
Drink Fiji water, do meditation, work on yourself.
People need to try harder.
I challenge everyone, anyone that's watching this podcast right now, this episode, to search for a clip of Leonardo DiCaprio. It's called Leonardo DiCaprio Behind the Scenes, Wolf of Wall Street. It's a short video clip for like 14 seconds or something like that. So what happens is they're showing the behind the scenes of Leonardo DiCaprio. I'll just call it Leo because it's so fucking long.
So long.
The longer the better. Oh, fuck, no.
People are like, what the fuck?
Anyways, so I forgot my train of thought. So, okay, I'll call him Leo, by the way. So, anyways, showing the behind the scenes of he shooting The Wolf of Wall Street and acting in front of like hundreds of side actors that look up to him and a camera crew in front of him. He knows that once the movie is released, tens of millions of people will be judging him, will be looking at his acting also. But also at the same time, hundreds of millions of dollars in terms of movie budget has been put into for him to act and like that. How many times do you think that guy read a script? Do you think that guy fucking winged it?
Oh, fuck no.
But he looks supernatural.
He's fucking crushing it.
He's supernatural. No, he looks just natural. comes out. He just knows exactly what to say. It's not coming from his, oh, what should I say next? It just comes out automatically. But the thing is, ta-da, we're just talking in front of someone on a Zoom call. We don't have a camera crew in front of us. There's no one looking at our movie also. There's no tens of millions of dollars budget put in. If you don't like the offer, you can just go into a different offer. There's no one looking up to you also.
But people should act as if.
People should, like, imagine you adopt 10% of that work ethic. Imagine like someone called you tomorrow and said, hey, Leo is sick, you have to come in. No, I can't. No, you have to come in tomorrow. We already signed $1 million deal with you, with your agent. Imagine you have to come in tomorrow. You think you're gonna be in your fucking pajama, like listening to like some Tony Robbins shit and like drinking Fiji water and doing meditation, or you think you're gonna be reading your script? Why would you treat yourself any less? Why would you settle down for any less than what you deserve in terms of training then? Why would you not be just overly prepared? Like understand, yeah, it's a framework, but understand the framework. And you won't be understanding the framework if you don't memorize your script, because what happens at the end of the call is you're always gonna be in the cycle where it's like, oh shoot, I should have said that. Oh shoot, I should have said that. Like you and I review calls, right? You and I do one-on-one coaching now. You would 100% agree with this. There's more harm done with not following a script than there's more harm when it comes to following a script, right? For example, one of the best scripts that I can ever know is NEPQ, honestly.
Yep.
NEPQ script is one of the best scripts. And does it work 100% of the time? No.
Nothing does.
It doesn't. It probably works like, if you follow to the T, it will work maybe like 80%, 70% of the time. That's a fucking high percentage though. Your no script is getting you 30% success ratio though. So follow script to the T and don't make decisions based on the exceptions. Oh, I followed the script and it didn't work out. Probably you just didn't execute it perfectly, first of all. And second of all, yeah, sometimes the script doesn't work out. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work out. Sometimes you have to get out of the script also. But guess what? Your no script, listen to your calls that you went like totally just no script and with the script. There's a huge difference in terms of performance though.
There we go. And in terms of scripting or no scripts, we shall get into the next episode. So tune in. So if you enjoyed this video, smash that like button. Leave your biggest takeaway in the comment section. Make sure you subscribe. And also share it to your sales homies. Otherwise, they hate you forever. All right. June and Brian, next episode. Peace.